It is warm in this vehicle. It's all good. Because I'm get another stream going on today. So it's a good day. And not really, actually. It's been a not good day. I don't think I'm allowed to use profanity in the first minute of a live stream according to YouTube, but I'm not that big of a YouTuber anyway. But I don't know. Could hurt me in the future. So we're just gonna wait until after. So, but yeah, this has been a interesting day. Get some drama going on. I'm just trying to get my mind off things, to be completely honest. But I did want to talk about a little bit of a topic I've been thinking about lately. So first, I'm gonna go with a little bit of context, life update, that kind of shit. So recently in my classes, I got one teacher that's really he's like a drawing teacher, but he reminds me more of like a philosophy teacher, like philosophy, And I love this. I eat that shit up, absolutely. I don't even remember if I opened this water or not. But anyways, and he's talking about kind of how when you're a kid, you have this imagination, you have this, you have that, Studies show that kids, when they're about 5 years old, then there's a study done where all of them tested as geniuses, right? Pretty crazy stuff. And then as they got older, less and less of them were defined as genius, And so that my son of a bitch, my fucking car is going crazy because I don't have the seatbelt on. Anyways, so here's what I wanted to talk about. All right, let's compare and contrast kids to adults, right? And I didn't put too much thought into it, but it's an interesting concept, right? So the title of the video is "Reality is Disappointing." Now, I'm not gonna say like disappointing, like depressing shit, like, oh, I was going after a girl and she didn't want me. Oh my gosh, this is so sad. No, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is like when you're a kid, you got these dreams, you got these ambitions, and stuff like that. Like when you're a kid, you want to be an astronaut. Holy shit, what a stutter. An astronaut. You want to be a football player. You want to be cure cancer. I don't know. Like as a kid, you got these ambitions, right? But then as you get older and older, you start to you get doubts put in your head by everybody, whether it's your parents, whether it's your uncle, whether it's your friends. As you get older, they're like, bro, that's not realistic, man. You gotta start getting realistic. You have to do this, you have to do that. You gotta stop thinking that you can do this, Like every like middle school boy, or let's go younger. Let's go even younger. Let's get like every elementary guy. If you ask them what they want to do, I'd be willing to say 60 to 70% or more will say that they want to be like a football player or a basketball player when they grow up, right? But if you ask those same kids when they're like 8th grade, 9th grade, most of them, I would be willing to bet, don't know. Because everybody's been telling them, well, okay, that's not realistic. It's hard to be a basketball player. You know how much time and effort you got to put into it. Now, some of them might still be really good at basketball and deeply desire to be a basketball player. But, like, everyone tells them it's unrealistic. It's not going to happen. So the thought that, like, some people goes through people's heads is, then why even try, right? If I'm not going to make it, why put in the effort anyway just to fall short, right? And see, like, here's what I'm talking about. This is just such a dangerous mindset that's just starting to come about, like people, so what is the main point? Is just like, I don't know, go live your dreams, your ambitions and shit like that. Like my teacher, my drawing teacher, he never got into drawing and stuff until later on in life when he was 30, right? He was a kid, he loved to draw, but he'd tell people he wanted to be an artist, right? He wanted to be a drawer, an artist, stuff like that. Well, everyone would tell him that artists die poor, right? So in other words, they were telling them this is unrealistic. You're not going to make a living. You're going to fail. You're going to this. You're going to that. If we actually give people reinforcement to their dreams, you know how many things that would change? So many people would do so much greater things. And I feel like failure, here's another little topic, side topic. People nowadays are so afraid to fail, right? They are so terrified to fail, what people are going to think of them if they fail, this and that. So often people don't even try. You know, like Wayne Gretzky, a beautiful quote, everyone knows this. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? Now, if people live by that quote, you know how much more of an advanced world we live in? You know how much more shit would get done? But people nowadays are so afraid of failure, what people think of them, that they don't try. You know, it's like, here's another example. Here's an example I absolutely love. When you are kids, this is why being a kid is the people that like are successful are the people who keep their childlike qualities, and I'll tell you why. When you're a kid, you ask all these questions, right? You want to know everything, but when you get older, you stop asking these questions because you're worried. Well, you're worried people are gonna be like, you should know this, that. But here's my thing. Here's my number one example that just popped up in my head that I love. And I want a quick shout out everybody. Fernando Morales, what's up? Abby, I'll have to listen to that. What's up, Diane? And Hyper Gaming. I'm just talking about just some philosophical stuff. Anyways, go to an elementary school, right? And you're gonna notice a teacher's gonna ask a question, right? What is 6 plus 4? You know, these kids are pretty damn smart. They all know the answer. All of them raise up their hands. Me. Let me answer. The enthusiasm to answer the question that they know, right? And they get it right, you know? Awesome. Great. Now, another example. Let's say teacher's like, what's 4 times 6? There might be a little bit less students that raise their hand, but I would still say a lot of them are going to raise their hand, give it their best effort, and if they fail, whatever, you know, whatever. Okay, now let's go to a college classroom, right? So I'm in college right now, and the teacher asks a simple ass question. Like, let's say he asks, what is 12 plus 12? Something that fucking simple. Nobody says shit. Everybody's just sitting there quiet because they're waiting for someone else to answer, right? And people are so afraid to be judged in stuff like that. Some people just sit there and just don't answer, and it's just quiet. And I fall into that same trap. I'm not perfect, but I fall into that same trap. You know, and it's a simple question. Now, even worse, what about a question we don't know? You very seldom get one kid who's brave enough to actually take an answer, to brave enough to actually fail so that they can learn, right? Especially in front of the class, because what are the thoughts that goes through your head? Oh, everyone's going to think I'm such an idiot. Everyone's going to do this. Everyone's going to do that. They're going to think about me so much. Reality of the situation, people don't really care about you. You know, like that's what I've learned. You know, people don't give a shit about you. If you answer wrong in class, they're not going to be like, this fucking dumbass. They're not going to talk about you the rest of the week. They're not going to do like anything. Like, that's my thing. You know, that is my thing. And listen, I could go on and on, but it's like my drawing teacher said, we're just conforming more and more to society, right? And society makes it so that being wrong is such a bad thing. But you know, the people who learn the most are wrong the most, you know? Like, the people who actually put themselves out there to fail are the ones who will end up prevailing. So, I wanted to yap about that a little bit today, because it's just, the more and more I get older, the more and more I just am open to this stuff. And this drawing teacher is a huge thanks to him, because he's, we're drawing and stuff, which is cool, but this philosophical shit is even more interesting, right? And that's why, I guess that's why I put the title as Reality is Disappointing, because you can go as far as you want to if you put in the effort. You know, if you're willing to fail, if you are willing to actually, like, even make a fool out of yourself. You know, failure is one of the most beautiful things, you know. So I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I can kind of wrap up a couple more thoughts, but that is kind of the majority of what I wanted to talk about, because main point is you can apply this to anything, whether it's talking to the opposite gender. That's another example, right? So I used to be pretty bad with this, right? I'll be so honest. When I was younger, talking to women, right? So what would happen is essentially I wouldn't really talk to them. I'd hope they talk to me. Now, that is some pussy shit. And there's a lot of people out there that are like, I don't talk to people until they talk to me. Take initiative. Talk to them first, you know? And that's how you make friends. That's how you get along with people. Nowadays, I'm so much better with that. I'll just find something to start icebreakers, like for conversations. Just find something in common with somebody and talk to them about it. You know, conversation, some people you're just never going to be able to talk to well, and that's okay. That's failure is okay. You can learn from that. But now, like I can talk and communicate with people so much better. You know, whether it's coworkers, whether it's women, whether it's classmates, whatever it is, you just got to start to understand is that you don't need to be afraid, you know? I guess I need to get some more talks about this, because I find this really intriguing. I find this really cool. And philosophy is really interesting to me. So, but once again, guys, basically the main point away is, again, just if you got dreams, just go for them. And no, I know this is corny, but like, if you got dreams, pursue them. Don't let anybody tell you can't, you know, shit like that. Obviously, if it's like super unrealistic, like being the first person to breathe in space, I don't know if that's like gonna happen, but like if you want to be an astronaut, fuck yeah, go for astronomy, whatever. See, like my thing is like I'm going for meteorology. You know how many people told me, well, you should probably just become a plumber, or are you sure you want to do that? This shit, that's my parents most of the time. And I'm like, hell yeah, I absolutely know what I want to do, and I'm going to do it, you know. I'm not gonna get stuck working a job I don't want to work the rest of my life until I retire and am fucking miserable. I'm gonna pursue something that I actually want and actually will feel joy in. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters, in my opinion, is being happy, you know. Happiness is more important than anything that I can think of personally. Obviously, make others happy, make yourself happy, shit like that. But, and yeah, just that's one of my biggest things is being afraid of failure. Is, you know, I feel like I'm just maturing more and more and realizing that failure is something that all humans do. And I'm not saying get complacent with it, get used to failure, get content with failure, but kind of in the same sense do. Like, don't just like don't study for a test because like failure is okay, you know what I mean? But be less hard on yourself. Like, here's what I'm talking about. Like, if you have awkward social interaction, and you just beat yourself up over and over about that awkward social interaction, and you're going to sleep thinking about that awkward social interaction, that's not that deep. That person probably doesn't even really remember. They might remember it for a bit, but it's not like they're going to tell every single person about it. Yeah, social anxiety, yeah. See, that's kind of what it is that's kind of what I described is like, you, let's say you say something and people don't laugh, right? Let's say I say, why did the chicken cross the road to get to the other side? And nobody laughs. I mean, I don't know why anyone would laugh, but I'm sweating like a bitch, damn. But no one laughs, and then later you're just sitting there like, I'm so fucking stupid. Nobody laughs at my jokes. I'm never gonna make a joke again. Stuff like that. See, now you know, but you can look at this a different way. Now you know, maybe that wasn't funny. Maybe I'm not gonna say that joke to next time. You know, I'm not gonna make a why did the chicken cross the road joke again, you know. Holy crap, it is hot in this bitch. But what I'm saying is just the best way to get good at something is practice, right? So awkward social interactions is okay. That's the crazy thing. Everybody's had an awkward social interaction. And if you just like, you know what, I'm never gonna talk to people so I don't have an awkward social interaction, then you're never gonna get good socially. You're putting a limit on yourself, right? You're putting a limit on your capability to talk to people because you're not talking and socializing with people so that you can get good at talking, right? So you gotta have these awkward interactions sometimes, and it sucks. But the best thing you can do is legitimately just be like, damn, that was kind of awkward. Anyways, let's just forget about it. Whatever, you know. I am really starting to sweat, so I'm gonna have to start wrapping this up a bit. I don't have AC in my car, and that fucking blows. But yeah, I think that's kind of like what I want to talk about. If you guys have any last second chats, comments, concerns, shoot it down in the comment section. I'll respond to them in the next probably 30-40 seconds. So if there's anything in there, I can talk about that too. But yeah, a lot of people in my life call me like a yapper, you know, and that's pretty true. So, but that's just because more and more that I've like gotten to talk to people, the more and more I've gotten better at it, right? So, and there's always something to talk about. That's one thing. Is like people are like, well, I got nothing to talk about. I don't do anything. There's always something to talk about. And sometimes you got to scratch a little bit, but you just got to be like, dude, what's going on, man? Like, it's nice seeing you. Did you hear about this? Or there's always something going on in the news that you could talk about. I mean, pull something out of your ass. It's better than silence. I hate silence, by the way, if you guys didn't realize that. But thanks again, Hyper Gaming. Yeah, no. I might stream tomorrow, I might not. I get busy sometimes nowadays, unfortunately. But thanks again for tuning into the stream. I will see you guys later.